A very weird moment because the technology behind ChatGPT was not new at that point. We had been using it for a while, and all it was is just an easy to use interface on top of this existing technology. And yet, it was that ease of use that made it go viral and make it blow up. If somebody had just taken the OpenAI model and put it in their own same kind of easy user interface, it could have blown up months before. So the speed of adoption really changed the whole conversation online. And what it really did is it
Alexander, who began programming at 13 and later propelled Edgy Labs LLC to a multi-million-dollar valuation, is a visionary transforming AI and content creation as the force behind Ink Content Inc. Alexander, reflecting on your journey with Smith OS and Ink Content Inc., could you share a pivotal moment when technology profoundly impacted a business you were involved with, especially a moment that felt transformative?
there's been a few. The adoption of neural networks in search engines has been a big one. I saw it coming, and it has changed the content game forever and the way that you optimize content. So we went ahead and built semantic embeddings as early as 2015 and 16 to predict how Google would value content. And it's really been when language models started to become good. And so we've been working with those language models as early as 2019. And at some point, of course, they got better and better. And we started adopting that in our product very early on. However, a transformative moment was when ChatGPT launched. It was a very weird moment because the technology behind ChatGPT was not new at that point. We had been using it for a while, and all it was is just an easy to use interface on top of this existing technology. And yet, it was that ease of use that made it go viral and make it blow up. If somebody had just taken the OpenAI model and put it in their own same kind of easy user interface, it could have blown up months before. So the speed of adoption really changed the whole conversation online. And what it really did is it brought some existential questions into play regarding the future of software. Like, what happens when the next version of GPT will replace your business potentially, right? Another pivotal moment was last year, and nobody was like asking for this or waiting on it. Like when it comes to Sora, the video generator, like we all know this is coming. We've been seeing the basic versions of it for a while, and we're like, okay, great. I didn't expect it to get better so fast, but I knew this was coming sooner or later. With function calling, nobody was asking for it. Like it was just like, hey, now AI can call functions. And that is a revolutionary change that is one of the most, if not the most profound one, aside from just the transformer architecture scaling so well into general knowledge. The ability for function calling makes the automation and agents and just like the next version of workforce and industry completely possible, because now AI cannot just talk about stuff, it can do stuff. And that was another transformative moment. So we're living in an era with a lot of transformative moments, and they are happening closer and closer together.
So you were in this entire AI game before it blew up with ChatGPT, and you knew the technology was not new, but it just went viral because of the ease of use. And also, and you're completely right. There are so many transformations happening at such a rapid rate. We all knew video AI was coming, but we didn't know how quickly it would have developed in this particular way. Yeah, so it's like very exciting time to be alive, but also quite scary. Like, what if do you have any advice for people who are like freaked out about all this? What am I going to do?
Okay, so the development of AI is a lot like the development and proliferation of nuclear weapons. The reason America and the scientists rushed their bomb was because they didn't want Germany to have the bomb first. And so it creates an environment where the development of AI is not, you can't really stop it. If you slow down, your competition will speed up. We see that like in this week with like Anthropic's Claude 3 model is so phenomenal. Previously, they were like very proud. We had this GPT model, but we chose not to release it. See how responsible we are. We're not trying to accelerate the market. We're just chilling out here. And now with their new model and their benchmarks they put out, they're basically putting OpenAI on notice and saying, hey guys, look at this. We're crushing you in every department. It's like your move. And so that's an accelerationist move. It's because now Google, OpenAI, they have no choice but to go and respond with their respective models and claim the crown back. So we're living in a time where, pausing or slowing down isn't, it's just not really feasible in a capitalist world and in like the geopolitical scenario. And that's unfortunate because I don't think the AI itself is a problem. I think the rate and speed of change is a problem because people need time to adapt. I believe people will thrive and there will be more and amazing jobs post AI for humans than before. But if you have, it's the same thing like in the United States. Like if you've been coal mining your whole life, and then some politician comes and says, "I'm going to save the environment. I'm going to put you out of job to learn how to code." How are you supposed to adapt?
Yeah.
Maybe you can send your children to school and they can learn to code, and then you can phase out coal in such a way. But if you're just coming one day and say, "Great, factory closed, learn to code," you're just left with a group of people who are not taken care of. And I think the speed is a problem for that. And governments and societies need to step up. We have such a thing called elections. And with elections, new people come with new ideas and we'll have to try those out. And we're going to have to look at fresh and new ideas on how to take care of the people who are going to feel left behind for a generation. And then at the same time, transform our education system thoroughly so that the next generation can thrive in this new reality.
Absolutely. You're completely right. I think AI isn't the problem, but it's the speed and the limited time it has for people to adapt. So if you had to recommend what should be implemented in today's educational system, like what would you recommend?
I want to see a lot happen in education. I and I'm really passionate about that because I felt like the educational system has failed me to an extent. Now, I was fortunate enough to grow up in Europe with a more classical education system, but the emphasis was a lot on memorization. And I just wanted to interact with the topic with question and answers. But if you're in a room with 20 other kids and you're that one kid that's all the time like, hey, raise a hand, you're going to get picked on and bullied, and teachers are not going to like you very much. Meanwhile, in America, it's such a test driven, score driven education system. They're less worried with actually educating children and more concerned with how we're going to be scored as a school on the test scores of the kids. And they're just all the time in test mode prep. But the real world does not care about your test scores. I'm sorry. The real world looks at how well-rounded of an individual you are, at your values, at your soft skills, and at your creative problem solving and can-do attitude. And so that's going to become more and more a very powerful calculator to help you out.
Yeah.
So I think that education needs to be like rethought from the ground up. For starters, and I've been giving this a lot of thought recently, it seems like any school that is so focused on test scores or whatnot, in the face of this rapid change, I think the best thing you can do with your children right now is just give them a more classical education that has proven the test of time for 2,000 years. Make them read the great philosophers. Let them read and amazing novels and books and have great discussions about philosophy and reason and logic and society, and teach them a bit of every field of science so that they can have a well-roundedness to themselves. And the method by which we can deliver education is also something we can radically rethink. There are a lot of people in areas they do not have great schools and great teachers. Like that's a fact, right? And so when we're talking about, and this is something that is so interesting, right? When you look at politics and both the left and the right, everyone will agree that poverty in your society is a bad thing. Everyone will agree that disease and lack of healthcare is a bad thing. they will disagree about how to go about it. It's not necessarily a right in the American traditional worldview, but it is extremely valuable and valued by everyone. Even if it's not a right, it should be, for human decency, something that people have access to. Everyone agrees on that. With, for example, fast forward with me 5 years, and just imagine that a child in a disenfranchised community, an impoverished community, can now have access, puts on his glasses, and can have a private AI tutor that answers all their questions, is infinitely patient, and guides them on any topic with homework along the way, right? So this is what we're talking about. This is the future that we can have.
Absolutely. I really love that vision of the future because I'm also someone who asks too many questions. That's why I have a podcast, right? Asking way too many questions. But yeah, like I think the AI not judging you is really valuable to learning because humans are biased at the end of the day, right? So we'll be favoring certain kids that like, hey, they always have an A star. That's why we should listen to them. So, and also I really liked what you said about the reading all the great philosophers and critical thinking because I think as AI becomes more prominent, like we need to become more human, right? And also understand ethics and philosophy is definitely something that can make that happen. So for non-technical founders overwhelmed by the prospect of AI, what's the simplest yet effective way to integrate AI into their current business model?
Walk before you run. Chances are that you're using some SaaS already, some products already in your business that do amazing things for you. Whether it's like you're making images, you're using Photoshop, right? Or you're using Canva. They both have AI features in there. Learn to use them, right? If you're using Salesforce, and learn to use their AI features. If you don't use any tools, subscribe to GPT or, okay, do this, right? If you're not a fan of AI writing for you or doing emails for you or doing analysis for you, how about this? Take your work, paste it in those products, and ask it to review it. Say you're an expert email writer, give me feedback. If you're in a meeting, take your transcript, put it in, and say, you're now a business coach. Can you give me feedback on my communication style? And use it to improve your work. And if you are a little bit more advanced, you're going to get more and more comfortable asking it questions about productive outcomes as well. Okay, hey, can you help me write this email? But then, very important, to not just take the output of the AI and use it, right? You are responsible for what you put out. So put your own twist to it, modify it, change it up, mix it up, pasting.
I absolutely agree with the not just copy pasting because I think a lot of content on the internet now, we can see like the difference between someone who copy pastes and someone who changes it to fit their brand. And it's just a lot better output. And also, I really liked what you said about just playing around with any new AI features that come out in your existing software. That's very good advice.
Thank you.
So could you explain in simple terms a real-world example of how AI is revolutionizing the digital marketing landscape?
Okay, that's a lot. I have a product that lets you build combinations of multiple AI models, multiple data sources and APIs and so forth. And it's called Smith OS, Smith with a Y. And our customers are building things like taking the product image and the product data descriptions, right? So product descriptions that can really describe what you're looking at and point out features about the design that otherwise are not apparent, and just, hey, this tall, this wide, this size, this color, right? Something that's more personal. And they're using this to great effect to transform e-commerce, to make it more relevant to the user and so forth. What you're seeing is that the web is changing and the content marketing world is changing. And we're really in a transition period, funny, that where we see an explosion of content online, and the people that have their finger on the pulse of Google know that Google is really struggling right now, more than we've seen in years past, because the volume of content, if it is 1,000x, would require 1,000x processing, 1,000x indexing. 1,000x data centers and computers to handle that. And since AI can produce infinite content, there comes a point at which you say, I cannot scale this anymore. And so that means that the future of marketing and organic marketing is going to have new innovations around trust and authority. For example, certain questions you would only ask certain people. Like you would not ask which medication to take to somebody who does not have a medical background. You could, but you might have consequences, right? And so we live in a world and free speech is amazing, but not all free speech is productive speech or useful speech, right? You go to a bar and you hear people cussing and saying nonsense. It's not really adding to the conversation of civilization, right? But at the same time, you also have people that are putting very valuable speech out. And just because they're a little bit unknown, we may never hear about them, right? And so the challenge of Google and search engines, and that is going to transform into conversational search with AI assistants and brand agents that are like the app store for these conversational AIs. The website will transform into brand agents. Your challenge as a company will be to be the number one trusted brand or authority on that topic so that whatever that medium evolves into, you are trusted with answering that question. So if you are offering hotel rooms, make sure you're the most trusted voice in advice on hotel rooms so that whether it is an app or a GPT inside a conversational agent, that you are the trusted source these agents are going to go to for getting answers regarding booking.
I think that's very good advice because with us moving into conversational search and also with the overload of content right now on Google, it makes it very hard to stand out. And if you're the expert authority on that topic matter, like you're more likely to come up in that conversation with ChatGPT or with Bing, and you're likely going to come up more at the top than someone who isn't a doctor but giving medical advice.
Everything you do is summed up in the word trust.
Hmm.
So authority is even part of trust. Higher quality content, trust. More authoritative sources that back up your claims, trust. Better and engaging content that people like to engage more with, trust. Faster loading websites that are not on shoddy servers with huge loading problems, trust. Accessibility features, trust. Backlinks, trust. You can go on and on, but essentially everything you do is a trust signal. And for any given topic, Google is always looking for that highest rated trust combined set of signals, right? For your topic. You need to start thinking about it in those terms. As you start moving into here's something that will happen. Today you have the GPT store, right? But if you want to use a custom GPT, what do you have to do? You have to first go to the store, then you have to find one, then you have to add one, then you have to use one. Boring, right? What really needs to happen is you ask something and the AI model says, you know what? I trust this GPT or this website to help you with that problem. And that is the future of SEO, right? So how do you get there? It takes data analytics, refinement, and it's the future of SEO, quite frankly.
Well, that's good to know for our audience because, yeah, I think like a lot of people are like confused about what they should be doing, especially those putting out a lot of content and they just want to make sure that it gets into the right places and they're able to rank adequately in this like future world of
Yeah.
AI.
So if I can be clear, we're in a twilight zone where you can produce a lot of content and you can get a lot of traffic, but that will absolutely not last. Okay? Record this clip in 5 years and play this back in 5 years from now. It's still worth it because it
Yeah.
works today. The ROI is there. And if you can get traffic for another year or 2 or 3, wonderful, great for you. Don't stop what you're doing. But 5 years from now, 60% of traffic to website will have been replaced with consumers interacting with their personal AI assistants or search engine assistants that are going to choose what to show to the user. And those assistants are going to browse your web. Users are not. We're maybe 6 months away from the first large action models becoming available, and then the open source community will easily catch up. This is coming. Large action models will serve the web on your behalf, will use software on your behalf, and it will start very basic, but it will evolve in amazing ways. And Apple will, at some point, not just have an AI operating system with AI slapped on to different things, rethinking of what an operating system will be. You spending hours browsing the web for something interesting to find is not a good use of our time.
Definitely. So, considering the economic challenges that startups face, what's the cost-effective approach for them to start experimenting with AI?
AI is so affordable. I don't even cost effective. Most of the good tools already made it part of their tool without adding extra cost. And many of the paid solutions for $20, you can have an incredible assistant that like doubles your performance. I made an entire computer game with my kid in the afternoon. It would have taken me weeks to do that before. Like, are you kidding me? You can't spend $20 to like double or triple your productivity. What's wrong with you? And then if you have absolutely no money, right? Bing and Copilot and ChatGPT free, there's so many options. You don't have the best model, but you have the best model of a year ago for free. Don't fall behind. It's free. Like, cost effective doesn't get better than that.
Definitely. So, if you have a bit more money, you can pay the $20, but if you don't, just use the free ones. It works.
Absolutely.
So, could you share an analogy or story that vividly illustrates how natural language processing can be transformative for businesses?
This technology is like electricity. And so it would be like the same question. It's Mr. Edison. How can the light bulb be transformative for businesses? Hey, Nikola Tesla, how can electricity be transformative? We have to understand that AI is as transformative as fire, wheel, the printing press, electricity, the internet, mobile computing, and it is probably humanity's greatest achievement ever. And the consequences for it are more profound than we can possibly comprehend and our timeline presently. It's if you are a farmer in the Middle Ages, you cannot possibly comprehend that we are having this conversation right now, other sides of the world, recording this and broadcasting this, and you cannot possibly conceive that, right? I think that we can talk a lot about applications, but the truth is that nobody can fully grasp the full impact that this is going to have. We need to be humble in that. As far as immediate applications, they're so obvious, right? You're making graphic design, it makes you faster. You're writing, it makes you faster. You're analyzing your work, it makes it faster. You're coding, it makes it faster. Very soon, you have voice agents that can help answer customer calls. It makes it faster and better. Have you been on a call in the last year where you had to be like on hold for 30 minutes, right? Or customer support? It's a common thing.
No.
And it's very annoying to waste
Yeah.
30 minutes of your day before you can speak to someone that can help you. Very soon, we're going to have instant answers with voice assisted agents. And we are going to see a total rewriting of the global economy and manufacturing with AI. Such a fundamental technology. It is such a fundamental technology that it will be part of every single part of business. And what I'll say here is there's a difference between products and technology. ChatGPT is a product. Canva is a product. But LLMs and AI is a technology. And so technologies are of everything we do. And so it is not restricted to OpenAI and what they do. You need to start thinking about your business using the best technology available to deliver the best possible service for your customers.
Definitely. So, it's more about so you're saying that in the future, every single business will have AI integrated into their product and they have to stay relevant.
It's not even a choice. The next computer you will buy will have a chip that is designed by AI. Like next time you watch the news or read email, your email is going to be curated for you by AI. Your news may be generated by AI real time live with the presenter you like, and you can swap out the presenters and the style you like, and you can indicate the stories you love to learn about, and it's going to have memory about what you already maybe you saw it on TikTok and you did not want to see it again on the evening news because you already know the story. So your assistant can just save you time without repeating it. Unless you say, give me more in depth, you can do that too. So yeah, I mean, you can't avoid it. It's like the air you breathe. It's just part. Yeah. What kid now grows up without electricity? There's a few in the world
Yeah,
that do. They have not joined like the collective world of modern society either. So you cannot really avoid it. And if you try to avoid it, you might start a commune somewhere where you learn to farm off the land. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But you can't really avoid it if you're going to be part of this civilization.
absolutely. Yeah, I really like your comparison to electricity because it is absolutely unavoidable, and anyone who hasn't learned it has to learn it now before it's too late.
Yeah. And important too, not many people know how electricity works. All they know is they push a button, light goes on. And so you do not need to know how AI works to benefit from it. You can just ask it for something and see the light turns on, from maybe a light bulb goes on, right? Another light bulb.
Definitely. So, what ethical considerations should founders keep in mind when integrating AI into their operations to avoid potential pitfalls?
This is a big one. So at this time, you should always have a human in the loop. You should not just let AI take over completely. If you're building automations where humans are not in the loop, you should constrain exactly what the AI is allowed to do, and you should be in control of a workflow that it needs to follow, and you should air gap models. What that and functionality. What that means is, for example, let's say you have an AI that can analyze battle situation and make an advice whether or not to launch a nuclear weapon, right? You should never allow the AI also have the capacity to push the shiny red button. That's air gapped. That should be separated and split off. For example, another example is, let's say that you have a co-founder and you have a private conversation with them, right? That data that you collect should be air gapped and completely sealed off and separated from maybe the AI data that your employees have access to, because that's privileged information. You should air gap that. Air gapping AI models happens both in data, access to systems, and workflows. It is very important if you're going to try and automate a ton of stuff with AI. In our product SmithOS, we've built a solution that does exactly that. It allows you to operate with such constraint alignment, we call it. Beyond that, there are even let's say that you have permission to use data and so forth, and it's air gapped and everything. You still need to be concerned about, for example, data leakage, so that consumers and end users can, even if they have a right to know a distilled problem solution to their question, they don't necessarily have the right to the entire document that was used to make that conclusion. We have built a solution for that as well. Beyond that, understanding in large automations with AI, understanding exactly what goes on step by step in each step of that workflow process. So you have transparency and visibility, and ultimately accountability and responsibility for what you put out. That's critically important as well. Just call that observability. At SmithOS, we built a solution for that as well. Then, even if you build all of that and it's all really well, you still need to think about the societal impact that your model can have, right? Are you, for example, making a really good algorithm and you call it Instagram, you may cause depression among teenage girls. And that was an unintended consequence, but it is a consequence, and you have a responsibility for what you put out. Businesses need to really carefully think about the kind of impact they will have with their products in general. We put toothpaste out and makes teeth a little whiter, but gives people cancer. You have a responsibility for that, right? And so even a well-functioning AI product right, that brightens your teeth may have unintended consequences if you've not considered all angles. Ultimately, everything you put out in the world, whether you use a screwdriver or a hammer, whatever tool you use, you're responsible. It bears your signature, it bears your name, bears your company's brand, and you're responsible for it. I heavily advocate for having at least those security measures in place, humans in the loop, air gapping, data controls, and so forth.
Definitely. I think you're completely right with the air gapping because not everyone should have access to confidential information at different levels of the company, and also the ethical considerations and making sure that what you put out there does not negatively impact society. And if so, you have to be responsible for that because you're the one who put it out there. So, given your successful exit with Edgy Labs LLC, what AI driven strategies do you believe were key in achieving its multi-million dollar valuation? How did this success feel on a personal level?
So in case of Edgy Labs, that acquisition happened right at the time ChatGPT came out. So obviously the innovation and the type of answer I will give in terms of AI transformation there will be not at the level of a 2024 answer, right? But even in Edgy Labs, we were using custom machine learning models, AI models for analyzing content patterns inside of Google and helping our clients be optimized, link distance and optimize link flow inside of our clients' websites as well, so we can optimize that. We use custom technologies to help with site migrations, making sure that, let's just say, no link left behind, right? No link juice left behind. And we build custom technologies to help automate at scale. Sometimes our clients had millions of web pages. We had to automate technical SEO at scale, really understanding at scale what were the most time and cost efficient ways to move our clients forward. I'm very proud of the results we had for our clients. Some of our clients in 2016 started with 2.5 million visitors per month and now have over 240 million per year coming to their site. Right? These things do not happen all at once. They happen gradually by implementing best practices. Ultimately, everything amounts to increasing trust. And so that would be the things that contributed specifically to the success we had and that successful exit. But ultimately, whatever time period you live, and 2024 is a time period very different than 2023 and very different than 20. Every time period comes with its own set of opportunities and challenges. And when you have a mindset of innovation and using the best technologies available for your customers and always looking to innovate, push the boundaries and test, you will end up finding ways to uncover opportunities that just make the difference. So think about a world where everybody is using GPT for their work. How will you stand out? If everyone just copy paste from GPT, you will not. There will not be a reason to hire you. So what makes you different, right? It's that constant innovation and mindset that makes that difference. And so it is not something I am proud of particularly. It is something that I enjoy. It has to become a passion for you. It has to just be the thing you do because you enjoy it. As much as an artist loves painting and being creative with paint, as much as a musician loves being creative with musical notes and chords, as companies and technologists, we have to learn to be passionate about creating with technology.
Definitely. I love that. And having that kind of spirit of innovation all the time because, yeah, I think that's the main thing that separates out the people who are going to use ChatGPT and just copy and paste and the people who are going to be building the next big thing. So we all face challenges on our journey. Could you share a time when you faced significant obstacles on your path to success? How did you overcome them and what lessons did you learn?
I have a friend who has run a company for many years and wonderful person, wonderful family, great company, was a true innovator early in a space, really has done wonderful work with great brands. And then at some point, he had a number of client projects that unexpectedly canceled. Now, being such a wonderful person, he didn't have the heart to do any downsizing of his team. So he took out business loans thinking he could bridge the gap. And when the bridge was not gapped fast enough, his creditors came and he is at risk of having to close his entire business down. Not just letting go of a few people, but having to let go of everyone. I think that with AI technologies and where we're facing in the market, there's going to be a lot of restructuring happening and a lot of need for reskilling and reprioritization. The challenge that businesses will have is choosing the few over the many. And so ultimately, the right choice for the business is to make sure that the business survives and thrives for the entire company, even if it is painful to have to let go of some colleagues. I've seen that happen myself when in the past 2 years has not been easy. We've seen the COVID crisis. We've seen how AI is transforming content writing, for example. It has impacted people. But at the same time, keeping those individuals around would just mean that you might risk losing the entire company. These are very tough situations, especially if you care about people. So here's what I would say. We're entering a world where there is going to be a bit of survival of the fittest. If you're currently working at a company and you're not embracing more efficiencies with your process, then you are likely going to be replaced or let go when business leaders have to make such a decision. So it is now the time to reinvent your career yourself and find out how you can become more productive so your company has no excuse to let you go. If you do not do that, then maybe you will be let go and maybe you will be forced to learn that in an unemployed state so you can be hired by another company. Also, even if you do invest in such knowledge and new skills, there is still a chance that you may be let go in this new economy. However, I also believe that in the next 10 years, a 3-person company in the Philippines can make an amazing company powered by hundreds of AI agents helping them. So an individual entrepreneur will be as powerful as a current company that has maybe 100 employees in a basement somewhere, creating the next amazing company. So I believe that as individuals, even if you would be let go, you can just become an entrepreneur and find a way to solve a human need. This, in fact, I think will create an explosion of innovation as these resources enter the market. For example, again, let's say that Google downsizes 1,000 brilliant engineers. You think these engineers are just going to sit at home and sob? No, they're going to start the next Googles and the next Facebooks and the next Apples. And some of them will not make it, but some of them will. And if it wasn't for that, wouldn't these companies will not exist. And this is how progress happens. I have faced moments in my career that seemed very sad. I was a really good coder and a really good employee early on in my career. And at some point, the business I worked for went upside down and I lost my job. I thought it was the end of the world. But then I discovered self-employed consulting and I made many times more money than I did when I was employed. Now, I was too nice. I would have not asked for a raise and I would still be there because I'm a loyal person. I would still be working there today. I would have not started my companies. I would have not impacted so many lives and made such wonderful innovations possible. Change is scary, but it is part of life. And with every door that closes, there's a new door that opens and new opportunities that come.
I love that. So, two pieces of advice. Your first one reminds me of this quote that says that you won't be replaced by AI, you'll be replaced by someone who knows how to use AI. But also, if you are replaced or you're just let go, even though you know how to use AI, start the next big thing, right? Because this is the best time to do it.
Yeah, there's never been a time ever, where you can start a brand new business with less resources. I would just encourage you to, when the times come of change, that you are already equipped and you do not find yourself a coal miner in a world where they shut down the coal mines. So in your current job, start educating yourself, start elevating. Chances are you will be the one that remains. And if you are let go, you will have the skills necessary to thrive and perhaps start the next great company. Maybe I'll come work for you one day.
Letting time. So we have time for one last question. Our For our audience looking to understand one aspect of AI this year, what should it be and why? How does this focus align with your vision for the future of technology?
It depends which audience. But I'd say, like, at this point, everyone knows AI can help you in your business. If you're not using the available tools yet, that's your priority. If you're a little bit more into it, you're likely missing out currently on automating business processes with agents. This is why I built Smith OS. Beyond that, I think we're going to start seeing real breakthroughs this year in filmmaking, in robotics, in manufacturing and supply chain. And one I'm very excited about in academics as well. The new Claude 3 Opus predicted a science paper that was not yet published, complete with algorithms and approach. The makers of that PhD level paper used 2 short sentence prompts in Claude to make it basically write their paper for them before they even released it. And they were astonished. So I think that researchers now will more easily find viable paths for research, will be able to push the boundaries of science forward. And I think that this has some delayed effect, maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years before you really see the fruits of that in your hands. But I think we're at the verge of a knowledge explosion. We can discover the hidden secrets of the universe like we've never knew before, find new energy sources that will help us clean up our planet and care for it, and so forth and so on. It's really exciting times for research.
Definitely exciting times. So thank you so much, Alexander, for all of your advice and also being a super inspiring guest for us today. Thank you.
Thank you.